So I got a dog out of the hospital and I'm taking him for a walk and he lifts his leg to take a pee and his guts were hanging out. His guts were hanging out. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I took him back and I'm trying to talk to the vet who doesn't speak English. And I just point him and then he looks down and like, and he grabs the dog and takes him up into surgery. And there were supposed to be some open wounds, but it just, and we had dogs that had been shot 8 times, had lost the ability to walk. And so we're making wheelchairs out of, pipe and Velcro for them. And eventually I just went to Amazon in Poland and ordered wheelchairs for them. But I mean, it's horrific. It's absolutely, there's no rights for these animals. This is a horrific situation that, needs attention. When I was there, I walked a lot of dogs and got to know a lot of dogs. And it's funny because I would name them after my friends or relatives. Like I had Uncle Brian, and Uncle Brian had just his head was all shaved and scars. And I mean, he was picked up on the streets of Kyiv. And pretty aggressive when I first met him. And within a week or so, he was coming over and wanted me to rub his head and give him love and hugs. And I taught him not to be aggressive to the other animals, but you just got to listen to them, find out what they're doing. And they're very emotional. Like I said, it's like having a 5-year-old child. And I just can't imagine leaving them alone to try to figure this thing out on their own and feed themselves. And we needed to put together a portal so that we could connect these kind of independent volunteers with these independent warehouses full of just people doing good work with the shelters. The shelters are all throwing their hands up going, send me stuff. And then volunteers just go in and deliver it at great risk. And then we don't know, some shelters are not getting anything and some shelters are getting too much. So we approached Microsoft and we put together a portal that gives visibility to all the shelters, all the drivers, all the warehouses. So we know that this is a real warehouse. They got 600 dogs and 100 cats, and this is how much food they need. And then we can start using like predictive technology to figure out what the supply chain should be fixed for that. There's easily 1 million stray animals right now, if not 2 million, wandering around Ukraine looking for food. And they're going to start mating, and they're in shelters that don't have protection because they don't have enough cages. You're going to have a huge problem. So we said we need to set up mobile units to go over there and spay, neuter, vaccinate these animals. And then we thought about it and we said, well, let's work that with Microsoft and put in a chip or read their chips and try to reunite them with their owners. So what we decided to do was create the kind of the largest blockchain, record of Ukrainian animals, so that when people can go back to their homes, or if they're set up a new home in Italy or Spain or France, they'll be able to reconnect with their dog or cat. It's kind of a cool project because it's not just a rescue and relief fund. It really is thinking proactively about the future, about using technology and adding intelligence and kind of smarts into the system. And if you care about animals, it's more than just going and walking dogs. I mean, I found that really beneficial for me, but it's a drop in the bucket. We have to affect a lot more animals, millions. And the only way to do that is to be smart about it, using technology. So one of the things we want to do is if people do donate to us and share our information about our GoFundMe, we're going to create an NFT for them of one of those animals. An NFT is a non-fungible token up on the blockchain. And then our hope is to have, the most complete blockchain database of Ukrainian animals that people will be able to search, either if they want to adopt or if they want to buy an NFT and invest into the crypto world, or if they want to be able to just reunite with their animals. I work with a guy over there, Tom Bates. He went into Kharkiv to the eco park, and a Russian sniper had killed the zookeeper and stuffed him in the bathroom. And so 2 days later, Tom and Sasha and a couple other people ran into it's a zoo, a private zoo. They stole a goat and a raven and took it to safety. And then the Russians came in 48 hours, and this is documented, and they used the rest of the animals as target practice. Now, this is where I've got a rub, and this is where I've got a problem. While I was there, I saw the kind of efforts that went towards humans, and I believe in that, right? Like, I'm not saying animals over people, but the Red Cross is there, World Central Kitchen's there, They have tons of technology. The military's there. They've got buses. They've got all kinds of things because we're used to doing this. We do it in Syria. We do it in Libya. We do it in Afghanistan. We take care of people. But what I found out, and I did the research on this, animals have no rights. They have zero rights. And so the Russians can come over and just shoot as many as they want. And there's zero accountability. There's no accountability for that. And that's completely wrong. These are people's pets. We domesticated them. We owe them the right to take care of them and to look after them. And so one of the things that our Ukrainian War Animal Relief Fund wants to do is lobby the government to try to get rights for animals during war. We're going in July to take care of a shelter that has 3,000 animals, 200 added this week, and it was bombed out. And you know what they asked for in addition to, the spay, the neuter, the vaccinations, and the meds we're bringing? They need firewood to keep the dogs warm. This is a whole different world than what we're used to. I had read a book called The Elephant Whisperer that a good friend had given me. And at the back of the book, he talks about, started an elephant sanctuary. And at the back of the book, he talks about during the Iraq War, he and his son went to the Baghdad Zoo to take care of the animals because, they, especially like elephants and some of these animals have great emotional abilities, and the stress, the PTSD that they suffer from bombs being dropped around you are so sad. And so, he went over to help. And I thought, hey, I could do this. And so I had worked with some people in Ukraine and Poland, especially in Kyiv. And I was there about 8 years ago. So I started contacting them, and I started contacting the zoo. Pretty hard to do during war because they're getting bombed. I finally talked to a staff member who said, we're okay at this zoo, but there are other zoos where the people just abandon the zoos and the animals are left alone. And so that's what gave me the idea that I need to do something. And I approached this ADA Foundation on the border. And when I finally got to someone who could speak English, he was just simply said, when can you get here?